What if death isn't always the end? For most animals, once the heart stops, the story is over. No second chance. No reset button. No coming back. But nature has produced some animals that seem to completely ignore those rules. One can freeze solid, another can dry itself into something that looks dead. One can actually reverse its life cycle, and one tiny mammal seems to get older without following the normal rules of aging. So, are these animals really cheating death? Or have they simply discovered rules of survival that we don't fully understand yet? Let's meet 5 of the strangest examples. Our first animal is the so-called immortal jellyfish. And this one does something that sounds almost impossible. When this tiny jellyfish is badly stressed or damaged, instead of simply continuing toward death, it can reverse its life cycle. The adult form can shrink down, transform, and return to an earlier stage of its life. Then, under better conditions, that stage can develop into an adult jellyfish again. It's almost like an adult animal pressing a biological reset button. But there is an important catch. It isn't truly impossible to kill. Predators, disease, and physical damage can still end its life. So immortal is a dramatic nickname, but its ability to rejuvenate is very real. Now things get even stranger. Meet the wood frog. During winter, this frog can literally freeze. Ice forms around its organs, its body stops moving. It stops breathing, and its heart stops beating. To almost any observer, it would look dead. But inside the frog, something extraordinary is happening. Its liver releases huge amounts of glucose into the bloodstream. That sugar acts like a natural protective chemical, helping prevent lethal damage inside the cells. The frog can remain in this frozen state through winter. And when temperatures rise, it slowly thaws. The heart starts again. The brain becomes active. And eventually, the frog starts moving. For most animals, freezing like this would be fatal. For the wood frog, it's part of surviving winter. Then there's the tardigrade, the tiny animal that seems almost designed to survive the impossible. When conditions become dangerous, some tardigrades pull in their legs, lose almost all the water in their bodies, and enter a state called a ton. Their metabolism drops dramatically. They can become so inactive that they appear completely lifeless. But they're not necessarily dead. They're essentially waiting for the environment to become survivable again. When water returns, the tardigrade can rehydrate and resume normal activity. This ability allows some tardigrades to survive extreme dehydration and other environmental stresses that would destroy most animals. It's not immortality, it's something stranger. The ability to put life almost completely on pause. Now meet Hydra, not the mythical monster, the tiny freshwater animal. Hydra has attracted scientists because it appears to escape one of the most familiar rules of biology, aging. In humans and many other animals, the risk of death generally increases as we get older. But long-term studies of Hydra found something very different. Its mortality rate remained extremely low and relatively constant over decades of observation. Its reproductive ability also did not show the normal decline expected with age. The animal continuously maintains and replaces its tissues, which may help explain why it can avoid the usual signs of biological aging. So Hydra doesn't live forever in the sense that nothing can kill it. But when it comes to aging, it seems to play by a very different set of rules. And then there's the naked mole rat. This tiny, wrinkled-looking rodent has one of the strangest aging patterns ever observed in a mammal. Normally, as mammals get older, their risk of dying increases. That's one of the basic patterns of aging. But long-term studies of thousands of naked mole rats found something remarkable. Their mortality risk did not increase with age in the way expected. Even animals that were decades old didn't show the normal exponential rise in mortality risk. That doesn't mean they are immortal. They can still die, but their bodies appear to resist one of the fundamental patterns of mammalian aging. And that's why scientists study them so closely. Because if we can understand how an animal slows or avoids some aspects of aging, we might learn something about our own. So, did these animals actually beat death? Not exactly. And that's the most interesting part. None of them has discovered a magical way to live forever. Instead, each one has found a different way around a problem that normally pushes life toward death. The jellyfish can reverse its life stage. The wood frog can survive being frozen. The tardigrade can almost shut itself down. Hydra can resist the normal process of aging. And the naked mole rat can keep its mortality risk unusually stable as it gets older. They're not breaking the laws of biology. They're revealing that the laws aren't quite as simple as we thought. And that's the bigger lesson. We often imagine life as a simple line: born, grow, age, and eventually die. But nature isn't that simple. Some organisms slow life down. Some repair themselves. Some replace damaged tissue. Some tolerate conditions that should destroy their cells. And some appear to resist aging in ways that still puzzle scientists. Life doesn't always fight death head-on. Sometimes, it simply changes the rules of the game. And this isn't just a collection of weird animal facts. These creatures are giving scientists clues about some very serious questions. How can cells survive without water? How can an animal freeze without destroying its organs? How can tissues constantly repair themselves? Why does aging accelerate in some animals, but barely change in others? Scientists are studying these mechanisms because understanding them could eventually help us understand aging, tissue damage, preservation, and disease. We are still far from turning these animal tricks into human technology, but every strange survival strategy gives researchers another piece of the puzzle. So maybe the real lesson isn't that these animals have defeated death. It's that our idea of death and aging isn't as simple as we think. A frozen frog can come back. A dried tardigrade can wake up. A jellyfish can move backward through its own life cycle. Hydra can resist normal aging. And the naked mole rat can ignore one of the most familiar patterns of mammalian mortality. None of them is truly immortal. But each one shows us something extraordinary. Life has more ways to survive than we ever imagined. And perhaps the strangest thing about death is how many times nature has found a way to delay it.